Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, we're going to hear from Fred Rispoli and John Deaton and even Jeremy Hogan, exactly, on all of the things Ripple and damages and remedies. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.44 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 0.3%. 36,000 slightly over for Bitcoin right now, just over $2,000 for Ethereum, 87.2 billion plus for Tether market cap, watching that closely. 63 cents for XRP, and it is not dazzling anyone this morning. We are off by 2.8% on the 24-hour and off by 7.9 on the 7-day. The range of price right now is between 66 and 61 cents. So I guess we better thank our lucky stars we're not down at 61 where it ranged overnight. So let's get started right now. So ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done it, join us in the Freedom Zone where we're tackling all of the different things happening here. ETHgate whistleblower comes forward. I'm telling you, you need to join all of us in here for the incredible conversations. You won't believe it. And tackling many other things that are not topics that we could feel comfortable touching on social media. So if you want to get down into the nitty gritty in here and have fun with all of us, all you got to do is join underneath and click the link to Dig Perspectives and join us in the Freedom Zone. Now let's get started here this morning. We start right here. We know BlackRock news about the XRP ETF. Is it fake? Is it real? Is it real? Is it fake? What's going on here? Well, BlackRock News posted this, and this was 13 hours ago. As we confirmed yesterday, BlackRock has not filed an iShares XRP trust. We have escalated this issue with the Delaware Division of Corporations. Now, what's interesting about this is that's from BlackRock News. That's not from BlackRock's direct Twitter post, as you could see actually down. Let me see. Here it is right here. Shout out to XRP Memo here. This is not BlackRock directly, but that is what we have the latest so far. So, is it real? Is it fake? Why does it take so long for BlackRock to respond directly from an official site? I don't know the answer. But the reality is, if it is fake, then why in the hell haven't you created an XRP trust? XRP is the only digital asset with legal clarity. What in the world are you waiting for? There we have that. So let's keep moving here. Jeremy Hogan shared the schedule here as we got from James Filan. Shout out to Jim for that. And we understand that the final briefs in April means a final judgment in July. But more importantly, look at the case heading and see how it was whittled down as we talked about yesterday. And the only thing in question now is Ripple. Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson cases have been dismissed with prejudice, and they should have never been brought against two of those individuals to begin with. But nevertheless, we see what the price of hiring top lawyers can do here, and what will the case be down to by the time we get to July, Jeremy asked, and that's such a great question here. And this was a comment here from Fred Rispoli. We covered this yesterday, but you know what? You're about to hear me sit down with Fred because this spurred me to reach out to Fred because Fred said this timeline means no chance of an appeal would be issued, should there be an appeal, before mid-2026 by the Second Circuit Court, the July 13th ruling from Judge Torres that XRP in and of itself is not a security is ironclad for a very long time. Well, let's not waste any more time because we're going to hear from Fred Rispoli, and then we're going to hear from John Deaton as well. And I want to bring you in on this at about this mark right here. And shout out to Fred for this. And let's set this up and let this roll because Fred has a lot of really great insights that he's going to share about this case. And let's hear him talk about it right now. With that being said, we don't need any more points on verifying what the schedule is for the damages of the SEC versus Ripple. So tell us about that and your thoughts, because I thought you just had some wonderful remarks and insights yesterday to share.
Oh, thank you. So, I'm sure everybody who watches your channel knows that the scheduling came through for the remedies section of the lawsuit. They didn't do a lot of discovery on this in the whole 3 years that this litigation has been going on because, the thought process was we're going to wait to see how all these legal rulings on liability shake out before we do damages. They agreed to that earlier on. And so now we're going to do discovery. It's just the same thing everybody saw with how discovery went up until the summary judgment motions, but now for remedies and damages, and money only. And so if you think that you don't have to worry about anything until the first filing is due in February of 24, you may be right, but you're 90% likely to be wrong, because there's going to be, I think, a lot of discovery fights between the SEC and Ripple, in terms of what they're allowed to use, what the SEC is trying to get from a business information from Ripple. So I think all those fights are going to still happen. And so you'll see the motions to compel, all sorts of motions like that. And I'm going to a couple of details where I think we're going in terms of, the magic settlement word and everything. But in terms of the timeline, the reply to these motions the final reply from the SEC is due April 29th, 2024. So that's when the briefing will be over, and the judge will probably take 2 to 3 months minimum to issue a ruling on that. So now we're at end of August, September 2024. Once that ruling comes out, either SEC or Ripple will probably file some post remedies motions or some other, finalizing the lawsuit so it's all ready for a final judgment. That'll take a couple more months. So, I don't think anybody files a notice of appeal until early 2025, maybe even like February, March 2025. The briefing schedule for that, will start in the summer or fall of 25. That'll go through the, I think the briefing will be done somewhere in 25, and it takes a year and a half for the Second Circuit to issue a ruling. So that was the explanation of my post on X, which is you're not going to see, if there is an appeal, this all presumes there is an appeal, you're not going to see a result from that until mid-2026. And, it could be great for Ripple. It could be terrible for Ripple. The bottom line is think of everything that's going to happen, in between now and then. We're going to have a different president or the same president in a different term. So, it's, and, another 2 years going, but there's just so much that can change that, makes you realize Ripple is safe. XRP is safe in terms of what that January 13, 2023 ruling was from Judge Torres that we all celebrated. That is safe until 2026. So, I mean, it's almost, in terms of everything that could happen between now and then, legislatively, it's, it's a lock, you can plan, with certainty for it. And so now it's, do the banks, do other financial institutions, do they have the courage to now begin using it if they're going to? We get to see all the talk and hype about partnerships, this, that, and the other. Is it real? Is it going to start happening? There's no good excuse now for it not to happen from a litigation perspective. I mean, you have to be super conservative. Even more than your typical bank to really be scared about this with where we are in the legal landscape.
Oh, it's so well said. And I feel like, when you think about December, Ripple and Uphold going live to service business to business payments on the backside of Uphold, and knowing that both of them have already done that and they're about to do it together in scale, to the point that you made about the decision from Judge Torres being ironclad, and going to what Brad Garlinghouse has said, that the bank said to him that the OCC is leaning on them to say, don't fool with this stuff until we tell you to, paraphrasing. I feel like that Uphold Ripple relationship can actually give them that workaround, that nexus, so to speak, for them to begin to start to use it under these circumstances, even though we still have the case possibly, like you said, if there's no settlement or whatever until then. If this is all still ongoing, then you have this all really happening and taking place underneath this legal dog leash that I believe is really kind of by design that it's happening, to make sure that for the first time in the world, this, what I believe to be a non-government, non-state-backed money is truly being introduced inside of the financial system to complement the financial system and not challenge it. And that's kind of what I see happening today, Fred. And any final thought here?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You know, to me, the issue is who's going to be that winner, you know, and I don't think it's one person, but I think it's going to be a handful. And is Ripple as a company in that winner's circle? Is XRP as a digital asset in that winner's circle? You know, I'm betting that it is, both that Ripple and XRP are going to be. You know, it's not set in stone, but I think the odds are higher and the probability is in that favor. But yeah, I mean, everything is transitioning. If you just look back at world history, you know, this is how everything starts. It's very difficult to, I know everybody loves flip the switch, but it's very difficult to actually do that, especially as the world's become more complicated and more interconnected. And, you know, these things take time. You know, I haven't, I don't know if he's put it up in a while, but DAI, like 2 or 3 years ago, there was a PowerPoint from some company where it had like the timeline. And I think this was in 2020, 2021, where it's like, and then Ripple XRP will really, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but hit its stride in like 24, 25. And I'm like, I'm not waiting until 24, 25. That's ridiculous. It's not going to take that long. And then, you know, obviously here it is. So I forget if anybody in the comments knows which PowerPoint that was. That's an OG remembrance right there. But you know, it takes time. I think you're right that it's going to happen, and you know, hopefully XRP and Ripple are in that one.
Yeah, I believe you're referencing the NTT data consultant timeline that existed that we've all seen for so long.
Okay, so you remembered it right off the top of your head.
Yeah, it's kind of a curse, right? You know what I mean? I got it, you know. But it is falling in line with that timeline, which is pretty remarkable because I remember feeling the same way you did in 2017 and seeing that stuff and going, it ain't going to take that long. And,
yeah.
But you know what?
We really underestimated that.
Yeah, well, and as so often people do, right? They overestimate what can be done in a year, but they underestimate what can be done in 5 years, right? Or 10. So yeah, it really is the truth. Fred, I want to thank you for what you're doing. And by the way, hashtag free DAI. The guy did nothing wrong, you know, silenced on Twitter. So hopefully he's able to get back soon. And I encourage everybody to keep that trending on X, so we can hopefully get the attention of the right people and get him back where he really belongs. The community needs him.
Exactly. Free DAI.
Amen. No doubt about it. We need him back. He's so much fun. Hey, Fred, you are too. And thank you to you, John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan, Bill Morgan, and all Jim Filan, and all the other incredible attorneys. If I forgot your name, please forgive me. But we would be lost without all of you. So thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Oh, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the show. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. And as always, we'll see you at XRP Las Vegas 24, my friend, because I know that there's going to be a karaoke night and Fred Rispoli is going to be leading at the helm, right?
I will be there and I'll be ready.
All right, so shout out to Fred for that. Always a great hang, getting to catch up with him. And now we're going to hear from this guy right here. It needs no introduction. We know who it is. It's the GOAT, baby. It's John Deaton himself. Let's get him right here where he talks about what that would look like as far as damages go and how Ripple will probably pay a significant amount less than the $770 million in institutional sales that the SEC is after. And he goes, if it doesn't cover it in this clip, I just want to set it up before we hear it really quickly here. He talks about the fact that the majority of the sales are outside of the United States. So then you can't count those sales. So that's 95+%. So now you're down to like 30 some million, right, out of the 770 million they were after. Then you have to deduct net expenses from the business, right? And if you're able to deduct lawyer expenses, which he's not sure of, then you're into the negative. And it could be a situation where you're like, wow, we don't pay anything. But take a listen to this clip here, and shout out to John Deaton for this. Are we lucky as a community to have access to these people, or are we lucky? I'm telling you, we're so grateful for all of them.
Going to wrap up, but I think what's going to happen is the same thing in the library case, where at the end, when the SEC got a $130,000 fine. Now, I'm not saying that Ripple's will only be $130,000. I'm just saying in library, ultimately, the SEC bankrupted a company in a non-fraud case, spent millions of taxpayers' money, and got a $130,000 fine from a company that never committed a fraud, never lied, never misrepresented, never hid information, and cooperated.
Yep.
And so when we turn to the Ripple case, whatever the ultimate number is, when it will be less than what Ripple paid in attorney's fees. I'm going to make that prediction comfortably and confidently. I'll come back. I'll admit I'm wrong. I've done that before. I'll do it again. If I'm wrong, I'll get back on live stream and I'll say, hey, got it wrong. But I'm going to predict that Ripple's $150 million in legal fees, that they won't have to pay that much. And it's going to make everybody sit back. Even the people that are against Ripple or they're not Ripple fans are going to sit back and say, my God, are you telling me, let's say Ripple pays $10 million, all right, just pick a number. Let's say it's 20 million. Are we going to say that 3 years of extensive litigation, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, lawsuits from retail investors against the SEC, all the damage that's been done with on this case, and that's ultimately what Ripple pays, a fraction of what they end up paying to defend themselves, while Sam Bankman-Fried was running rampant, while Alex Machinsky was running rampant.
Preach it, brother.
While the Voyagers, the BlockFis, and everything else that was transpiring in crypto, where we needed the SEC, where we needed a cop on the beat to actually protect investors. While all that was happening, this is what they were doing. The libraries and the Ripples of the world. It will disgust most people, I believe. And even someone who isn't in crypto will sit there and be like, wow, you went through all of that just for that result? That seems like a colossal waste of resources and a diversion of attention on the wrong people, right? Instead of working against the bad guys, you focused on people who were trying to do it right. You claim they got a couple things wrong, and ultimately you accomplished what? And that's where we're going to end up with. And so,
what a remarkable point, and what a despicable thing for the SEC to do, what they did to the library case and what they've done to Ripple and so many other good actors for coming in to see us, right? That's the price they paid for trying to do it the right way and coming in to see us. This is where we are on this day, ladies and gentlemen. And I just want to leave with this note from Fred and John Deaton here. What I see is a decision that XRP in and of itself is not a security. And it's ironclad decision. And no matter what happens in the Ripple and Remedies and this damages phase, when they get through it, if the SEC decides to do some kind of appeal, which let's not put anything past them because we know how despicable they are as an agency, right? So if they come after them, you know, I have to believe that the ruling from Judge Torres is now acting like a force field, an insulator, a bubble around XRP, while the rest of the crypto space is about to be dealt with on the same level of attack, I believe, that they have just witnessed themselves from the SEC and other agencies. And how, look, it's so funny that this thing started out as a curse and a weapon against us and is now serving as an insulator, because now we've gone through the tough trial, taken the high road, and gone that tough journey. And we are at the top of the mountain, and we do have clarity, and we do have protection because of that clarity through this crypto winter, which is not over yet. That's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.